Greetings and good morning all. We are extremely humbled to have been invited to this spiritual event today. I'm actually filling in for Imtiaz Syed, our president, and having listened to Guruji talk earlier on, Imtiaz didn't warn me that he's quite a seasoned politician. And after he mentioned don't stick to the script, I was wondering whether to throw this away or not. But having said that, I'm going to keep this because I've got a few highlighted points that I just want to stay focused on, because I, for one, can lead astray and start going into actual activism that I've done, and then we might sit here for an hour. Thank you so much. So firstly, I truly want to, on behalf of the Active Citizens Coalition, thank every one of you, our hosts, the people that are watching us live stream, the people back home, and all those that watch it on YouTube. Want to also thank extremely our Secretary General. Behind Imtiaz, he's also been tutoring me and coaching me. I'm not as seasoned a politician, but more an activist, but I've been following politicians' lives and also learning about it for the last 15 to 20 years. Before saying anything else, I also want to give out my age, and there's a reason for that. I'm 48 years old, and the reason I'm telling you my age is because when I talk sometimes, if I clean shave myself, people assume the person to have a lack of experience. But I'm going to share with you guys today a lot of experience that I have in terms of culture, experience, expertise, and into traveling and so forth. So again, a special thanks to our Secretary General, Imtiaz Syed, our volunteers, our supporters, our brand developer. He's been helping us. And the fact of the matter is that recently we found ourselves being exposed more and more, and people on the ground are getting to know more and more without us having to have exposed ourselves as part of Iteguini Secure. It's just the activism coming out through ACC that's been strong enough. We haven't even divulged Iteguini Secure, and if that comes out, it's going to spiral on a stronger scale. My name is Muhammed Hoosen. I'm standing as a candidate for Ward 30. We've got our current ward candidate here as well with us. But we are standing for 80 wards in total. Initially, we planned a lot less than that, but 80 is a significant amount. We've been registered in 2019 officially, and of course, the strength coming forward with what Iteguini Secure has done, Iteguini Outreach has done, and Imtiaz has simply seen a loophole and a gap in the council sector, where we were trying to get our voices out there, and it takes much longer. So we challenged ourselves, and we started recently, well, not recently, but we started to actually get involved in doing the councillors' jobs in some places. And wow, we've realized how easy this actually is. People were telling us it's difficult. So recently, our people have actually been going to the heads of the water department, going to the heads of DSW department. And recently we've been successful in quite a number of major cleanups with before and after pictures. And I myself found it extremely simple. You go into the DSW department yourself, you shake hands and you have a smiley face, which is what my dad taught me, and you literally engage. And that's all it really takes. From there, it spirals into an email, and it spirals into meeting people. And then it's all about project management. So at 48 years old, I've traveled significantly into Africa. I've done 46% of Africa. I've traveled to Europe on numerous occasions in the last 5 or 10 years. And I've been extremely blessed actually to meet people of various cultures, people of various diversities in each country. You walk into a country in Africa, you get off the plane, and you have two options. You have an option of greeting the person with a hands up or shaking their hands before COVID, this is, or you have an option to hug the person because you've been communicating with them on MS Teams or LinkedIn or Skype for Business for many, many years. And the one thing my dad taught me is when you stop at a rowboat and you look into the car next door to you, it costs you nothing to smile. So I made it my duty when I jumped off a flight and I met people in different countries, in Malawi and Zambia, Lusaka, and even in Europe. I literally, if I knew the person for long enough, I literally hug them. And it made a world of a difference for, in terms of trust and ethics. So furthermore, I was born and raised in Espingo Hills. At 48 years old, obviously it was in the 1980s I'm talking about, and we lived in a house with 5 families. This 5 family, each family had 5 kids, and one family had 6 kids. The Hoosen family, James Avenue, and
no TV.
No TV. Absolutely not. So I don't know how to share this with yourselves. The Brady Bunch was nothing. We had 11 junior primary students leaving the property in the mornings, and we had 15 senior primary students leaving shortly thereafter. And it's no lie, you can check this up with my family, but it was amazing. It was amazing. But we know one thing, or I can remember one thing, and I remember this after the looting. It's that back then, our parents spoke highly about our neighbors and any function that took place. And it was irrespective of which culture you're in, which religion you're in, they sat together at functions, they helped each other at functions, they ate together. And back then, in reality, it was not just the Indians, it was the blacks as well, for whom we all had the same pain and strain and the same amount of respect for each other. Back then, it was all about humility. What has changed? The humility, sorry, I'm going off pattern here, but the humility has changed along the way, and we can't really blame the humans as such, or the communities as such. We actually blame society at large in terms of the materialistic things that they are advertising. Eating up the trees, eating up, it's just advertising for Gucci and advertising for cars and advertising for jackets. Sorry, this morning I was going to put on my orange t-shirt, but I just wasn't too sure. There was a message that said dress respectfully, and I kind of thought I'm standing up here, so I hope I haven't overdone it. Apologies for that. But having said that, the humility actually is being forgotten when we talk to each other on a daily basis. And our kids are stuck on social media. So they don't really get to see much of what we saw as kids. What they get to see is all of the posh cars and the functions and events and the what to wear and what to not wear. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because it is actually this platform, this sort of spiritual venue, and we need to have more of this in all religions to actually take our age gap and the age gap above us, this generation who remembers that. And I don't know how we're going to do this. Guruji said collectively. That word collectively is not sinking into our community's heads. I've been recently involved in some work in Bonella, and I wanted to talk about Imtiaz a bit just now, which I'm getting to. But he helped me big time in taking me out of the political thing that was going on. And I was spending a little bit too much time debating and going against what the Indian people were doing by taking the ANC and going house to house and convincing people that you can't vote for a small party. You got to vote for a party that will stand their ground, that will stay, and then we will have to be there, and they will give us their support. And I said, what are you teaching your community? You are telling them that they can't voice their concerns because a party is going to win. You are teaching them wrong. This is so sad, and this is coming from our Indian people there. Sorry for bringing that up. Imtiaz actually helped me so much by getting me out of those groups and all that, and I've been able to do more positive damage in the last 2 weeks by focusing on service deliveries. So the looting came upon us, and it is only those of us, well, not really only, it is those of us that really remember our history, like I was saying, where we ate together as different cultures and different religions. It is those of us that actually remembered those that were able to easily hug and embrace our neighbors, because we were in a close-knit fear of being annihilated. I think on some mornings, some of us actually went and kissed our wives and stuff for late nights before we went out. And when we did this, I remember standing on a chair, because I was going to stand in front of people and talk, and somebody gave me a chair, and a Christian fellowship, Christchurch, some Americans that live next door to me, and they live every year, they change the pastors there, and they carried a little two-step ladder for me to stand on, because I had the entire community of 200 plus people. And we engaged within 8 hours. Tegwini Secure was behind us, but I recruited 93 people in that area in 8 hours. And we started to really protect, and they were after the mall, which was nearby. And as a result of the mall, it was obviously creating a very large volume of people to approach us, and we had to be on our toes. So having done this, what I saw out of it was actually myself embracing Hindus, Muslims, Christians, and all faiths. And we were like really engrossed in discussions about how to actually commune and how to change things. And this for me was amazing. And up to today, I've still got relationships with all of these people, and I get goosebumps thinking about it. So in the early 2000s, I lived in Cope Road. That's off Alpine Road. And I bought a house there way before that. And I decided to overcapitalize. Well, it was capitalizing. I didn't realize it was overcapitalizing until one night I looked out into the bushes and I saw that the politicians were giving tin roofing to the locust housings, and they were expanding. I said, okay, cool, let's see how we can help them, or let's see what's going on. Started to speak to the politicians, and then they said, no, we're not giving anybody. And I found out they were. So obviously the politicians were playing games, and they were over-promising, fake promises. And then I started seeing red and blue wires in the trees. And then I started seeing ladders going up onto the poles. And I had done so much of work on the property that it was like scary. So we, as a community, got together, and it was many areas, Morningside and Springfield Park, Alpine Road, but a lot of the community on the upper of Morningside were just not participating. I live in my White Castle, and that's it. I've got my alarm system and everything. Okay, you guys on your own. Oh, we found that out later on. Today they're all selling out. I took pictures, put my gumboots on, went into the locust housing later on, started evaluating the mess and so on, and went into City Hall, Fozia Peer and others, and I made brochures and 16 people around the table, and we tried to bring some sense into this. It was too late, sadly. As the years passed, I had to sell my home at a break even. So when you live for 15 years in a place and you sell it at a break even, you really made a loss. And the area just went downhill, and today the Jadu place has just grown by about tenfold. There is no proper DSW, there is no proper power, water, supplies to cater for this. So what they've literally done is, and forgive me for using this expression, I should learn from Guruji to word myself properly, because hopefully I don't actually use the wrong terminology. But you have a farmer that has a coop, and he's got 20 chicken in his coop, and he makes the little pigeonholes for the 20 to sleep in it, and there's sufficient amount of seeds and water and everything for this. And he goes away one day, and then his brother-in-law or sister-in-law comes in and says, no, you know what, we can make more money out of this. So they bring in another 50, but they say, no, but let's not spend money on enlarging the coop. Let's do what we got. And so they put the 200 into a coop with 20. And so they don't provision for water, they don't provision for lights, they don't provision for DSW. And so you find today we drive past Burnwood Road, we drive past Alpine Road, we drive past Kennedy Road, and you have large 1 meter high by 15 meter of rubbish, rats, infestation. So who's been hurt in that process? it is those people that were promised houses, lands, and all of this that are suffering the most. They have literally taken away their dignity. And as a ripple effect, those who are paying rates have to also reap the downfall of that. And lands have been taken and used, and people are in their deathbeds saying, this is a land that I was going to give my daughter, and they can't get it back. Many, many, many like that. So in the last 5 years, I was privileged enough to meet a lot of significant people. Amongst them, I spent some time with Imtiaz Syed. I met him over coffee at the hotel I lived in Johannesburg for a short period, and we engaged, and I stayed in touch with him up to now. But over the last year, he hasn't been responding a lot, but understandably, because he's been doing much bigger things. And I truly, a year ago, I came back from France. I lived there for 4 months, and I refused to go back. And when I refused to go back, I kind of got more involved in home, religion, family, and I got my roots back, started to see my families and so forth. And whilst doing that, I wanted to get into humanitarian work. And during the looting and my activity, and during meeting the DA on many times and disputing and chairing a meeting, bringing their provincial leader down and the Westville people together and chairing a meeting with them involved and ironing out all of the downfalls, and then fighting on behalf of service deliveries, charity work and other sort of work, I was then taken to Imtiaz Syed. So the second significant person that I've met. Meeting Imtiaz Syed was an eye-opener, because I didn't get that extent of meeting and talking to Imtiaz Syed. But meeting with Imtiaz Syed, I had that extent and that time, and he gave me a lot of time and energy. And I said to him, Imtiaz, honestly, I do charity work, humanitarian work. I fight on behalf of service deliveries for the community. I've done many projects with different corporates to help the community. I said, but I don't want to go full blast into politics. I have the background that I can achieve it, but I don't want to go. It's a very dirty place. And he said to me something that changed my opinion in that hour. He said to me, Mojo, he calls me Mojo, a lot of people do. He said to me, Mojo, we don't want people that are extremely seasoned politicians. We have the ability to teach them, and we will have sessions, and we will consistently be behind them to make sure that that is instilled in them and how to deal with the situations. But right now, politicians have done what for us in the last 20 years? You know, so I just leave that out with yourselves. He said to me, Mojo, we need people with heart. We need people who are working for the community, doing active work, people who are humanitarians, and people who are doing charity work, that are empowered, and empowered enough to stand in our governance. And that's what we need today. Because if we take the same thing that we've been doing for the last 20 years and regurgitate that, we have no change. We have no future. So I took that back with me, and I made a bold decision, and I said to him, we on. And from there, it was the same application that is used with all of our candidates. And that's real change. That's real change. So the eThekwini Secure Outreach and the president of ACC, we really are heartfelt people. I think Guruji explained that he knows Imtiaz and himself were on the same page, and he finally met a person that really has the heart to do it. And I'm glad that Imtiaz is instilling the same amongst us. Guruji, I can assure you that this is where we're going and this is what we want to do. And to the viewers out there. So the main point of Active Citizens Coalition is to bring back human dignity at the end of the day. How we're going to do that is by ways and means we're going to express over the next couple of weeks. And God willing, even after that, whether we are chosen or not, even after that, what the eThekwini Secure and Outreach did, the AC is still going to continue doing. We've got a platform for it, we've got the people for it, and that's going to continue. So we will back those communities that are really lacking. Now, every party is going to claim that they're going to make a change. Every party is going to claim there's going to be something different. Every party is going to claim that we want to get electricity on board, water on board, and fix all of the issues. Amongst the pandemic, add to that world order, new world order, so to speak, add to that all of the different elements of fraud, corruption, and just the state of our country in terms of crime. There is no way that a party is going to come to make change by having the same representatives, by having the same manifestos, by having the same people, the same structure, and the same method of going out and onboarding communities. By force. Literally, that's what they're doing. Something's got to change in the way it's approached. So what we want to be able to do, what they won't be able to reassure us is what is going to be done differently. They need to assure us of what is going to be done differently. When will this change start, and how will it be sustained? I think we all are rest assured Itequini Secure did an extremely good job in sustaining the methodology, and we are lucky to have Imtiaz as president of our party. And by the way he's been managing it, I can see that we'll be sustainable in what we do. There is only one way, and that is change through the voices of the people on the ground. And today you will see businessmen that are taking the ANC to places and vouching, but you won't see the community standing behind them to actually go and support this initiative. We need for the communities to stand up. There is only one way communities are getting voiced, and that's not by saying, go with the ANC, go with the EF. I'm not blaspheming those parties. I'm simply saying that we can't have the same thing regurgitated. So we want to put focus on human dignity again, and one of the elements of change that we want to bring is local governance does not have project management today. Provincial, national level, they have project management, but you can see clearly that project management there has led us to order trains that are taller than the cabling on our railway lines in Prosa. You have provincial governments, they have project management there, and you can see the state of schools and the state of medical centers, and you can see the state of the old table tennis building at the end of Beda Street next to the little ashram there as well. And go have a look at the state of that. I used to go play table tennis there with all cultures, and it's got roots of and trees growing out of the gutters, the pipes on the top of it. Vagrants. It saddens us. So again, local governance does not have project management, meaning that the councillors are doing quick fixes, troubleshooting. They do not project to the communities how much of their budget is being used where, what it's being used for, and they do not work, they work hand in hand with the DSW and electricity department, but just by means of alerting them of their problems, get the feedback, dish it out, and then they run on to the next project, or not project, onto the next issue. This has got to change. It is very simple to give communities a visibility. There's so many tools today to make life easier. Yes, we must use the modern tools, but we must not get too engulfed in it. Today, there's no space for the aged. There's no space for those with disabilities and intellectual disabilities. There's no strategic plan that is repeated in the newspapers or on a platform to indicate what is going to be done about the homeless people. It'll come in one shot during election period. It'll come during other periods of time, but then you need to have at least 4 times a year. The communities need to understand what change, what projects are being worked on, and what is being changed. Today, 52% of the water goes to total waste. And it's largely due to infrastructure that's been damaged, infrastructure that cannot be repaired. The infrastructure has been bandaged. Quick fixes. There's no project management behind the councillor. The councillor hasn't gone to Bonella or Reservoir Hills and said, I need, and I'm telling residents, I'm putting 5 million, I'm taking 5 million away from Westville. I'm putting 5 million to you in Reservoir Hills, and this is going to change the pipeline from Keys Avenue to that place to be able to sustain the future for the next 5 years. They're doing a quick bandage, and so all due respect to Westville and other areas, I come from the Westwood area, and to be honest, we know where there are street blowers, the leaf blowers. We know where there isn't that. We know where there are the guys sweeping the streets and where there isn't that. I'm not saying it's there, but you will see the vast difference if you drive around the country. Today, that 52% is also because the informal settlements that have been promised housing, not their fault, but that they are not paying for that. So literally what happens is the bill that Eskom charges the municipality, or Amgeni Works charges the municipality, we have to foot that bill, the ratepayers. So we've got a 15% increase on water, we got sanitation 8.5% and 14% on electricity to that extent. And that's what's been happening. And Guruji, as a seasoned, if I can call you that, apologies, as a seasoned politician, has really outlined what needs to happen. He's done more or less the job for us. We just got to take that and run. So we indeed know what we need to do. We know what has to be done, and we need the support of the community and these platforms. I thank you very much, and I take back with us all that you have taught us this morning, Guruji, and we thank all of the viewers today. Thank you so much.
Okay. Then our next speaker for the ACC is Alice. Can you come through, please? Need to borrow your step ladder. Thank you. Thank you so much. Namaste Guruji, and to all of you, Vanakkam, Assalamu Alaikum, and good morning. My name is Alice Govender, and I'm a community activist in Phoenix, and I am truly humbled and very excited to be here today. Brought back a lot of fond memories for me, Guruji, because the Mariamman Temple in Springtown was my home for many, many years as a young girl growing up. And so very proud of my Hindu heritage, my Hindu background, and brings back memories of when I would go and help my grandparents to wash and dress the deities and clean the holiest of places. And so that has left an indelible mark in my life about my Indian culture. And I'm very, very proud to be an Indian. Guruji, I also have with me a first edition of our manifesto, which I will hand to you when I'm done, sir. And I'm generally not one to speak off script, but what I would like to share with everyone here today is every single person, every single candidate at ACC, Active Citizens Coalition, is an activist. We have no politicians. We have had politicians come to our president and our leader, Mr. Imtiaz Syed, and say, please, I would like to join your party. And his response was, and their words to him was, because I'm a seasoned politician. And his response is, thank you for showing interest, but we have no space for politicians in our party. Because the mantra of ACC is to bring back truism to activism. So many of us have become activists because of what we can get out of it. Are we getting a free hamper? Are we going to get a new job? Are we going to have a contact in government? So we make ourselves activists so that we can get ahead in life. But I'm so proud to say that I stand amongst the greatest in KZN because we have got candidates in 80% of KZN, and every single one of them are activists who have been on the ground, doing the hard work, dealing with people. And so when Imtiaz talks about bringing truism to activism, we don't speak it, we do it. For me, my field of expertise and the gifts that I bring to the party that I've joined, I like to call it my party, is I have a legal and technical background, and I have been, for the last 20 years, championing the issues of land grab and land expropriation in Phoenix and around KZN, the Greater Durban area. So wherever we have developers, I'm sure we all know about the late Mr. J. Singh, may he rest in peace, but we're looking at not just him, not just his companies, his litany of companies, but also we're looking at other developers like Ready Homes, Madupi Homes, and there's a whole list others that I can't quite remember right now. But we need to take a stand against, as Guruji has said, the rates and taxes that we have paid and not received anything in return for now the last 27 years. Prior to that, for our lifetimes, under our apartheid government. So when are we going to all become activists? You don't need a podium, you don't need a mic, you don't need a status, you don't need somebody to appoint you. For me, it's about leading from where we are. And so today, the message I want to leave with Guruji and his community and your community at large is to please don't vote for us because we've been here to chat to you. Rather join us and become activists and serve your community where you can, because God has given us all gifts. I might have a legal and technical background, but I know nothing about procuring finance. I might have somebody else in our community that is good at doing this. You know, they might be a smooth talker, or they have the knowledge, or they have the networking and the contacts, and they can get me the money if I want. But then we might also have somebody that's a housewife. And once she sends the kids to school, there's nothing else that she has to do because her housework is done, or she has domestic help at home. But I tell you what, that Mataji can actually cook a meal for 3 extra people every day. And when somebody walks past their door, she's going to share those meals with them. So activism is not about politics. I'm getting goosebumps. But activism is about reaching out to our fellow man to help them where we can. And so that is why this party was formed. It was to give activists like myself, like Veerisha, like Zain, like Muhammad, like Michelle, and other candidates that are here, and other activists that are here, it gives us a platform to take the 90% of the work that we do in the community at ground level, at ground zero, and it gives us now an opportunity to sit at City Council and make sure the remaining 10% is done. Because for the last 27 years, we've done the work. We've met with ward councillors, we've given them the blueprint, and they've put it in file 13. They haven't been able to deliver on the work that we've done to elevate them to those positions. You know, before I joined ACC, I was in such a quandary. I was thinking, you know, I voted the first 2 elections for the ANC, and then the remaining elections I voted for the DA. I don't even know who to vote for this year. Well, I'll be voting for myself. Yes. And, you know, I'm a little bit jealous about Mojo because he's visited 48% of Africa and he's visited Europe. my title is RAR, RAP, Run Around Phoenix. That's my job. Hopefully I'll be able to be on the same podium as you, but I'll get there. So all I'm saying is I would love to invite you all. It doesn't matter if you don't vote for us, but just become involved in your community. Give back where you can, whatever gift God has blessed you with. Come on board and be part of the truism of activism. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Alice. Veerisha is our next speaker, and she'll be talking in a personal capacity.
So I needed another stipend. A very good morning, afternoon, ladies. Can I take this one? So it's just easier for me to speak. All right, so I'm Sister Veerisha Singh, and I am the Mrs. Tourism World South Africa. Most people don't know me due to me being crowned in COVID. So where I would have had an international title in Thailand, I basically was stuck with the looting and everything else that's happening. But my introduction is beside my name. I wanted to start with this one saying. When a female is born, her fate is already created. Her fate is already created to where? Being an Indian, being a black, being a colored, being a white? No, being female. When a woman is born, her fate was already created. What am I saying to you? I'm saying that in those days when a child was born, she was told she would not go to school at a certain age. She would not be able to do certain things in her life. Her place would be in the kitchen. And as women, we were oppressed. In many countries, we continue to be oppressed. So what are we finding in most of our Muslim countries? The women are not allowed to drive. They're not allowed to dress however they like. They're not allowed to be seen. In India, it still is practiced in certain countries where a woman is still married off against her will. And I say woman because the moment she comes of age, she's still married off. And here we come to our beautiful South Africa. So should I start? Our babies as less than 2 months old is being raped. Our babies, not black, not white, not colored, not any other color. Our babies. In the rural areas, these uneducated women who are taking care have single mothers because the system in our country does not bother about a man making a baby wherever he wants. The ladies are uneducated because no one enforced education. And here we have girls as young as 12, 14, giving birth and becoming mothers, and they go on to grants. And where does this leave me as a woman? I want to tell y'all my story. I am no different from any other Indian girl in a middle-class family. I also had a hardship of being brought up in a poor home, not being exposed to everything a boy would have exposed to. Having 4 brothers, my father always put them first, but the one good thing he did was give me an education. So no matter how poor we were, when democracy first started, I think school fees at that time was just 50 Rand. So 50 Rand meant you pay your school fees and you go to school, and if you don't pay, you can still go to school. And I was the lucky one who still went to school. And my dad, I remember very clearly in grade 10, I came home and he asked me for my report card, which he had to fill in to choose my course. So it was grade 9, sorry. At that time we were in standard 7, grade 8, standard 8, you're gonna choose a course. And I had the marks for physics and maths. You needed an A to get there. And I came home and I am like, Dad, I want to do speech and drama. And my father is one of the strict ones who beat his kids, and it will be his way or the highway. And I wanted speech and drama, and he said, no, you've got a big mouth. My father told me I got a big mouth. I'm going to put your mouth where it's worth. And he decided to send a letter to school, and I get very emotional about this because I hated it. But I went to school and I did subjects called S17. It's one of the most difficult subjects in school with physics, maths, and everything that takes you to have a computer in your house, which I didn't have. And you needed to have financial backup to get tuitions, which I was definitely not going to get because we were 6 kids already, and I was the eldest of them. And being a girl, he was never going to focus so much on me having that. So guess what I did? I went to school. I became the #1 athlete in South Africa. I'm sitting with Natal colors, but I can't run to save my life now. But I was one of the first women that actually ran, got my Natal colors, and because I was representing my country in so many different things, I got away at not being at school on most days. So my friends helped me to get my homework done and everything else that I needed because my place was in the kitchen. The moment you get home, you see to your brothers and sisters and you start the cooking before your mother gets home. So I'm no different from the lady in the rural area. I'm no different. I was no different from having any of the luxuries that they have. And when I say no luxury, any of the luxuries, because I had none and so did they. We had no luxuries. So when I compare myself to a black woman, I'm standing on the same status just living in a house with lights and water. I was no different. So at every given point, when somebody cries and they say, I don't have this and I don't have that in my community, what community are you talking about on your own? Because I belong to that same community. When a child is getting raped in the townships, is that not our child? How is that, because it's a black child, is she supposed to be raped and we are not supposed to feel anything? No, we need to change our thinking in life. We seriously need to come back down and get to the roots of things. We could say there's corruption here and we could say there's things wrong on every direction. But it also takes us to also see that they are no different. There are people struggling on every plane. And then life just throws you these thunderbolts all this time. In 2015, I started to get sick. And then 2016, I had an operation and it went wrong. And I had first lost 26 centimeters of my colon. And then when that operation went wrong, I then lost 5 organs in my body, costing me over 16 surgeries to just live. And if you look at me, don't I just look normal like the person next door? And you'd never say, I don't have 5 organs. So, what about the woman that we're passing by in the malls? Doesn't she look normal just like you and I? Our maid that comes to work, doesn't she just look just like you and I? So who knows your suffering except you? I landed on life support in 2017. So having a 9-hour surgery, I ended up with being defibrillated. And the moment they got a pulse, I landed up on life support. Basically, I didn't even know I was dead. And I didn't even know I was fighting for my life. So when people tell you, you know, when someone's lying on life support, that they could hear you talk because they gave you an eye movement or their hands moved, and I was writing even, I don't know what I was writing, but these were the things that our physical bodies and our physical people, that's the interaction that they have with the person lying there to have their own satisfaction that they moved when I spoke to them. They are still remember me, they still know that I'm here. But when you are lying there, you are gone to a whole different place. And that place is far more beautiful than you have ever imagined. Colors that you have never seen on earth and would never see. a place more beautiful than words can express. And that changed my whole life. And yeah, a girl that was a fighter my whole entire life. I started doing pageants at 12. I've basically taken every title that I wanted to take. So having an international title just came my way. So my route to this title, to start off with, I woke up from life support in 2017. And within a few months, I decided to go back to Joburg and fight for the life I had. And my mother told me, with just 4,000 Rand, are you going to go back and get your life? And I said, don't worry, I'm going to do it. That year, I received the first award, Influential Woman of the Year. Influential woman, how? What were you doing? I was working as a matron in an old age home where I took 20 patients who had, some of them had never seen the sun for 25 years. So they are 100 years and plus old, and the children just pay to keep them there, and the caregivers just look after them wherever they're there, or whatever they can do. Take them out of the bed, feed them, leave them there to watch TV, take them back, feed them lunch, leave them in the bed, come back at 4, eat your supper, go back. That was the life. I rehabilitated them. And rehabilitating them enhanced my life. And then I started taking awards everywhere. And then I said, oh, wow, what am I capable of? And I continued, and I continued. And then I decided now, it's time, I now think I can put on high heel shoes. And I decided to put on my heels, and I just walked in the house. And this pageant came up. I had no idea it was a national title. I took part for myself, and not knowing I was going to win. But then this changed the whole perspective of women on an international level. And do you know why? What is a woman? What is a woman to you? When you see a woman on a magazine, when you see a woman on a runway, when you see a model, what do you see? Perfect skin, perfect figure, perfect everything. And what are we as women at home having children? The imperfect. And once you are seen as imperfect, you find that you are not good enough, your motivation falls, and everything about you is no longer as beautiful as the woman on the magazine. And I wanted to change that. So I am the first scarred woman that decided to walk on a platform and put on my heels and still show the whole world that scarred woman is still beautiful. And what is the #1 disease that is not covered by medical aid in our country, and our country does not even give us funding for, is endometriosis, fibroids, and cysts. So now I'm a nurse on a mission. I own the Blue Rose Foundation. And we are fighting for funding so that we could have our government make sure that our women in our country is taken care of with proper medical health. So if this is just few of the roots that we can start from now and plant the seeds, as Guruji said, can you imagine what tomorrow is going to bring for us? We are not going to be the woman in the kitchen. We're not going to be the uneducated woman that was taking care of a child and let it get raped and she can't do anything. We are going to become a society of women with power, women with ambition, and women with morals and values, and we are going to leave the legacy because God chose us to be those women. And we are so appreciated when we come to a certain point and we have to stand in a party, and we always find, I'm always so proud of Phoenix. I'll tell you, in Phoenix, there's 5 ladies standing as candidates. And the other day, I had somebody telling me, ANC is going to take over us and we are going to be knocked down. And I went back and I thought, so you wake up from life support, you do all these extraordinary things, you carry a spiritual power that nobody really can knock you down, and nobody really can until you allow them to. You walk onto a platform you never thought no woman would walk on, and you do things that is beyond a normal person's doing. So what is your calling? What is your calling? No woman standing in any party was called uncalled. It was chosen by your fate the day you were born. It is then written that what you make is your gift to God. And what you do on earth is your gift to God. So all the information could come here and it could be given to you, and what you'll do with it will only determine where you're going. So going forth, what are you doing about your life? Me as a woman, my lifespan is already cut because the doctor made a mistake. But what I chose to do with it is use it for the greater of every mankind. Thank you.